I may still be fairly new to this whole YouTube thing as of right now, but I'm not so new to content creation in general. I've been writing consistent content for my blog, Side of Fiction, since December of 2020, and now, about 15 months later, I've written over 160 posts, equaling over about 100,000 words total. Though I'm still learning, I'm not inexperienced at this point anymore. That doesn't make me any better, but it counts for something, right? But once upon a time, way back when I was a simpler lad, and I had no freaking clue what I was doing. And the anime we're talking about today, 11 Eyes, is very closely related to the start of my journey and all the fumbling that led to where I am now. So imagine me 3 years ago, young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, messed up sentences just like I am now, more generic phrases that you might think of. Now picture me trying to figure out some anime to do my first review on. Rather than something normal, like, a sane person, which I am not, I went on Crunchyroll and sorted alphabetically, and I chose the first option, which led me to 11 Eyes, because it's the number, and that number is 1. 11 Eyes is truthfully not that interesting of a series at all, but I felt it was worth giving it a revisit, especially with my somewhat odd history of it, if nothing else. Not everyone can say their first anime review ever was a My Anime List review for some random anime adaptation that basically nobody watched of a visual novel that I don't think anybody really read, at least not over here in the States. So if absolutely nothing else, I can at least give a interesting look into whatever this series is and was. So what exactly is 11 Eyes about? Well, I've heard a few theories on what the name means, all of them I'm sure incorrect, but basically, there's 6 characters that make a difference in the story, making 12 eyes between them, but the main character only has one working eye and like one magic cool eye, so 11 eyes. I'm not saying that's incorrect, but it's kind of weird, but I don't know, it's neat, right? Well, odd naming conventions aside, this anime is literally just Persona 3 the animation. Past me was correct about that. Don't believe me? Look at our main character. It's literally Makoto slash Minato slash whatever you want to call the main character with a damn eye patch. That's it. But surprisingly, the comparisons don't end there. The main gimmick of 11 Eyes is that on certain nights, the Red Night commences, which transports all of the characters into an alternate, yet similar world, but, one with monsters. Yes, it's just like the Dark Hour in Persona 3. It's literally no different except for the color scheme. The actual plot revolves around these students, all with their own powers, as they kill monsters and slowly unravel the secret of why they were brought to this awful world in the first place, and learn who's responsible for doing this awful, all around bad stuff that kills people, I think. How that progresses is with a bunch of fights against these mini boss type enemies with character drama in between. Whether that drama comes from Kakeru, aka Makoto, or certain characters going psycho with razor blades and I don't know, man. Some of these characters are weird. Again, 11 Eyes really isn't all that interesting in and of itself. It's just a pretty generic adaptation of a maybe slightly better visual novel. That's only brought to light even more when you look at the other 2 videos I've done, and they're a far more interesting series. There's really nothing to talk about, and that will likely be reflected in the length of this video, which is already going to be padded out by something at the end. But I still wanted to give 11 Eyes the time of day, mainly for the fact that, despite how painfully generic it can seem, the production value and direction of the series is actually shockingly good in some aspects, and it deserves to be known for that, if nothing else. It shows that I don't really think it's an anime that was made poorly. I think it's just an anime that adapted a kind of meh story. I also just wanted to share an anime that's been weirdly important in my life and shows some of the things that make it unique. Also, I did tweet out asking about this series on my Twitter, which you should follow, a few weeks ago, and more people remember the series than I thought. All you need to know is that I definitely didn't make this video as a way to pad out one of my uploads because I feel that the next video will end up being longer and take a long time. That's slanderous, and I would never. Also, that video definitely didn't end up getting delayed anyway, so there's even less of a reason for this to be the length it is. But like I said, that's slander. Don't listen to it. If you couldn't tell from some of the clips I've been shown, 11 Eyes actually looks pretty good. It's about on par for something for the late 2000s, but a lot of animations are smooth enough, and some of the fight sequences actually aren't that bad. Yeah, it's mostly just basic sword fighting and occasional magic, Well, I guess one character that's basically immortal, Toko Fukawa from Danganronpa, but that's a whole nother story I'm not getting into. Regardless, it still looks decent, but far more importantly, it sounds decent too. Let me just play you a clip from the first episode. That was pretty damn cool, wasn't it? I mean, you can't deny that there's actual agony the characters are feeling, and the whole thing's just super intense. It's a really good sequence for something so generic. And here are what the shadows, I mean monsters, sound like. It's honestly one of the more unsettling screams I've heard in an anime, and it's on a pretty scary dude in a pretty messed up situations. It's very intense for what it is. I've genuinely remembered that scream for years, and it's somewhat nightmare inducing, honestly. 11 Eyes, while feeling pretty generic and kind of looking pretty generic, actually has incredible atmosphere to it and feels genuinely creepy at times, mostly because of the good sound direction and production of the series in general. All of that with the passable story and decent pacing makes for a series that really isn't all that bad, or at least better in ways that you would never expect. Really, the biggest problem is, unfortunately, the ecchi element. It's kind of bad. I'm not the biggest fan of ecchi series. I've said that a few times, but I can accept it. And depending on the context it's used, it can actually be good. To be honest, it's not inherently bad. It's just often used in very boring, overused, bad ways. It's often predictable and disappointing, is the best way I can put it. To decide whether 11 Eyes is one of the good ones, just let me show you something that happens to the female main character. Yeah, you see her skirt right there? I mean, hey, that makes perfect sense, right? Let me tell you, those monsters are just really accurate. They're very trained as actually to show what good, efficient killers they are. Not everyone is capable of creating such a perfect window right where it matters. Okay, yeah, it's pretty bad, and then you have the occasional, well, I'd like to say occasional, but those upskirt shots happen quite a bit in fights as well. But I mean, hey, it's kind of expected from a series like this. It could definitely be worse, but it's kind of bad. All of this blends together to make 11 Eyes a pretty average series overall that's just a remnant of a different time, although we still have plenty of series that abuse ecchi stuff poorly anyway. There are just better series to talk about from over a decade ago, so there's no real reason to bring it up. Like, not many people are gonna hop in their anime Discord chats or wherever the kids go these days and be like, "Yo, man, you know what my favorite anime was? Oh, what was that? Oh man, 11 Eyes. Let me tell you, 11 Eyes was so good. That just doesn't happen all that often." But I've always been about looking at lesser known random anime, which is why on the blog I literally have a monthly series that I do just that. And I'd honestly like to find some way to bring that to video format. I just need to figure out how it would work. I'm always down for hunting down hidden gems. Not every anime needs to be the big ones. You can watch some lesser known stuff and still enjoy it just as much. Does that mean I think 11 Eyes is some hidden gem that people have been sleeping on for a decade now? No. It's all right. It does good things with audio and stuff that, a lot of better anime can't, but it's not going to like win any awards. If this came out today with everyone's eyes on it, it wouldn't be that special. Still, that doesn't mean I want the good things it does accomplish to go unnoticed, because it does manage to nail a few things a lot of other series don't. You have to give credit where it's due, you know? Now you may have noticed I might sound a little different. That's because I literally after recording that last part am now sitting in like my live stream setup type thing here. That's because I wanted to include one fun thing at the end of this video that I think is going to be a pretty good time. And it'll also pad out the length because this video is like 9 minutes otherwise. So, what exactly am I planning on doing? I am going to read the original review that I read for 11 that I made for 11 Eyes 3 years ago. I have looked at it bits and pieces, but I have not sat down and read the whole thing. Definitely not out loud. So let's see how my take on it has changed, shall we? Okay, so this is going to be very unprofessional. I don't really care. This is just a fun thing to do. So I'm currently on my anime list. I'm going to remember how you get to reviews. Okay, well these are all the other ones I had. 11 Eyes. Here we go. Ahem. 11 Eyes story centers around our main characters, Kakeru, Sasuke, and Yuka Minase, who are both just normal high school students. Is true. However, their realities fall apart when they are suddenly dragged into this strange world known as the Red Night. Except for some red fog that covers the area, this world looks almost identical to the world Kakeru and Yuka know. It's actually very weird. I remember this word for word almost. Our heroes are in for even more of a surprise when these grotesque monsters start to attack them. Right when it looks like it's all over, Kakeru and Yuka are suddenly transported back to their own world with their mental scars being the only proof that they had ever been there. I remember being very proud of that line. Kakeru and Yuka, along with a few others, I didn't feel like naming them, are dragged back in and out in the Red Night constantly without warning as these creatures called the Black Knights mercilessly hunt our heroes down. Only those brought to the Red Night are aware of its existence while everyone else is blissfully ignorant. Now some other stuff happens. Okay, well that was abrupt. Now some other stuff happens, of course, but that's how the story unfolds for the most part. That was one problem I actually had early on, is I tended to just write synopsises for the first episodes instead of a summary. I've gotten better with that though. Where was I? Okay. Now, if you're like me, this story may seem kind of familiar to you. It may remind you of Persona 3, perhaps. Mayhaps. The Red Knight reminds me heavily of the Midnight Hour, which was not the correct term, and I remember writing that wrong. Not only that, but the monsters look like something straight out of P3. The whole anime feels like it's going for a darker, more serious tone of storytelling like P3 as well. That's a crappy point. I mean, even Kakeru looks like a somehow edgier version of the P3 protagonist that they decide to slap an eye patch on. Is not incorrect. None of this means I think it was inspired by P3 by any means. I've got to cover that up. But as a giant Persona fan, the similarities are definitely interesting and worth noting. I think the premise of the story is actually pretty interesting. I really like the idea that these characters can suddenly be dragged into this other world at any time without warning. It's just kind of a shame how the story unfolds for most of the anime. Our heroes are dragged into the Red Knight, then they're hunted down by the Black Knights. Our hero often kill one of them, and then rinse and repeat. I see Monster of the Week. I have never liked that trope. The second half of the anime is way more interesting, though. I will say the pacing of the story can feel a little off at times. Episode 12 of the series is pretty rushed, and the episode before that had a neat concept, but I do think they use it mainly for shock value, and as such, was most unnecessary. I think I'm making myself sound like, I don't know. My reading is making this better, I will say that. It's also not that bad, to be honest with you. There was an episode 13, but we won't talk about that. Episode 12 is the real ending. 13 was pretty funny to watch, but was one of the oddest, most unnecessary episodes of an anime I've ever watched. Yeah, that episode is it an OVA? I think it's an OVA, yeah. Where everything about the world just turned inappropriate. Like the character could do nothing without talking about inappropriate stuff, and all objects they had turned into inappropriate things. It was fun. It was weird. It was wild. I will say I liked it more than most people seem to, or more accurately, I liked the spiral events that leads to it. Episode 12 leaves a lot desired, honestly. Yeah. Oh boy, grab some popcorn, everyone. Time to talk about the characters. Yeah, I used to split the reviews up into like segments, which look like crap, but now I'm better about it. I prefer to call sorry. I prefer to call Kakeru Edgy McEdgelord after his personality, or I'm sorry, his lack of one. Kakeru is your typical "look at me, I'm attracted, passionate, maybe cold" type of main character. He never shuts up about how to protect Yuka at any cost, which in all fairness, Yuka is such a useless character that she needs protected. Yuka is this purely to grow Kakeru's own ego and help him fulfill his brave, strong, alpha male main character role. Jesus. it's a little it's a little harsh, but I mean it's not wrong. Everything from Kakeru's character design, the way he talks, and his actions all bleed edginess. I could seriously slice bread on this man's edge. I remember writing that line, I thought it was funny. His edginess could definitely be annoying to some, but I find him pretty funny more than anything else, which makes it impossible for me to take him, as well as the anime, seriously. Well, I guess I added the correct grammar. As I mentioned about Yuka, she's useless. I wish I had more to comment about, but besides the random out-of-place panty shots they use her for, which only makes it harder to take this anime seriously, she's completely useless, uninteresting, and is purely to be protected by her edgelord. Now, for the most part, everything I said about Yuka is true. You can tell that I didn't watch the last couple episodes before I wrote the rest of it, because I immediately shifted. She's not bad. However, for reasons I can't go into without spoiling stuff, Yuka gets infinitely interesting toward the end of the anime, so keep that in mind. As for the other characters, you have Yukiko Hirohara, a loud, energetic girl that actually has a pretty interesting backstory. I think she's the scissor girl, although the anime doesn't go into depth about it as much as I'd like, which is a shame. I find her more annoying than anything else most of the time. She goes around randomly groping girls because they need to please the perverts, of course. Well, they already do that a lot anyway. You have Takahisa Tajima. He's your typical delinquent. Aside from the fact that he's eating food in almost every scene, which is a little humorous, I do like that quite a bit. He is pretty boring, yeah. Even his power is boring, he's just fire dude. Next is Misuzu Kusakabe, my personal favorite character. Not that that's saying much. Damn me. My reason isn't fleshed out very much, sadly. Did I skip a line? I literally just didn't even explain who she was. Wow. Why did I like her? I do like her now, to be fair. I don't know, she's cool. I don't know, man. She's a badass. That's all she really needs to be. Next is Kukuri Tachibana, who seems to have lost her ability to speak and communicates by writing on a notepad because of it. She seems to resemble Kakeru's sister, who took her own life many years ago. Wait for me to just speed past that one. Can't go into much without spoiling things, but I will add that I do think Kukuri has a really cute smile. Not sure why that's the main thing that sticks out to me, but she does. There are other characters, but that covers the main cast for the most part. I remember writing that, and I literally couldn't think of anything more interesting to say about her. And to be honest, I still can't. It's not like I was wrong, that's the thing. I don't disagree with any of this. The art in the anime is pretty decent. It's not going to win any awards or anything, but it looks fine for its time, and I've never really noticed any drops in quality. True. The way the monsters are designed is, again, fun. True. The most common monsters in the Red Knight may look like something straight out of an RPG, particularly Persona 3, but they're actually pretty creepy. The way their jaws drop and let out that blood-curdling wow-like scream is actually slightly terrifying, so I give the anime major points for that. It does sound like a wow, to be fair, I guess. I don't think wows scream. Maybe they do. I'm not a wow biologist. The sound and visual effects that happen when the Red Knight begins is also pretty eerie and intense. It is. I showed that. Oh, here's where I, for some reason, thought I had to talk about the opening and ending song every single time. I don't know why I did that. There's so much unnecessary stuff I used to put in these. Where was that? The opening song for the series, Arrival of Tears, gives off that nostalgic vibe that I often get from older anime, and I really enjoy it. Can you tell I had no idea what to say about it? The song and visuals fit the theme of the show really well. Overall, Rival of Tears is catchy and fits the anime, which is all an opening really needs to do. Despite the fact that I had nothing to say about that, that is an absolute banger of an OP. That's the way the kids use that word, I'm pretty sure. It is a banger of an OP. It was really good, and I still listen to it, and based on what I heard from Twitter, other people also do, which is good, because that song's great. The visuals aren't bad, but the song is great. Oh, how do you pronounce that? Sequentia. The ending song of 11 Eyes, like the opening, gets the job done. Once again, the song itself is decently catchy and fits Joe to provide a nice wind down after the cliffhanger. This anime I love to throw at the end of its episodes. Again, didn't really know what to say. That's one thing I've learned in writing now. If I don't have a lot to say about something, I just won't say it. I'm not gonna try and pull things out of everything to try and say something. If I don't have things to say, I'm not gonna say it. 11 Eyes, an anime that really had potential to be great, but unfortunately it fell short in its generic, underdeveloped character as well as its execution. That being said, 11 Eyes isn't all bad. Regardless of what I've said, I actually enjoyed watching through it quite a bit, and I found it really exciting. I mean, I binged episodes 7 through 13 in one sitting. Did I? I actually think I binged 1 through 6 on this rewatch. That's kind of funny. With all that being said, I believe you should watch the anime yourself and build your own opinions. Everything right here is just my own opinion, after all, is more or less about anything else. That was my little outro I used to do, and I tried to do it when I started the blog, but the lines blurred between what was a review and what wasn't, and I don't know, now I don't really care, but I used to do that so people knew to respect other people's opinions, which nobody does. I give 11 Eyes 4 eyes out of 11, or 10 I suppose. I also tried to do this gimmicky thing where I rated things out of 10, but I used particular thing for the anime. I swear I'm stealing that from a YouTuber, but I don't remember who it was. And I eventually just stopped doing it because I thought it was dumb. And I hate rating systems. Rating systems are stupid. They don't do anything. I only rate stuff on mail because I have to. Just everybody else does it, so I have to, basically. It's upsetting. Honestly, I agree with just about all of this, to be honest with you. So, yeah. Well, that was it. I hope you I hope you enjoyed whatever the hell this video was. It was fun, if nothing else, a little different, but yeah, I enjoyed it. All in all, I think in the past 3 years since I wrote this review, I did get a lot better. I'm still not bad. This wasn't bad, I don't think, but I did get a lot better. So here we are at the end of the 11 Eyes video. I only had 20 seconds again to say everything. Thank you. Appreciate watching it. I missed an upload last week because of being very busy, but I've sorted out. Won't happen again. Well, it might happen again, but, I'm doing my best. Back on schedule. Bye. Love you. Thanks.